Jared Gordon concussion protocol. Say that fast. Say that 10 times fast. All right, guys, let me tell you one thing. The movie Concussion was a very big deal. For American culture, sports culture, the rules, not only to the pros, but even the NCAA changed directly because of that movie. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to. It's Will Smith, and it's excellent, and it's a true story. Now, to this time, and I came through this. I was competing before this, and we didn't really know what CTE was, and I had done an event at the beautiful Encore in Las Vegas, and I was doing the event, and another gentleman was right next to me. His name's Junior Seau, and Junior Seau was an awesome football player. He was a tough guy. He even dated in his college days a gal that I knew. So I felt like I kind of had this connection to Junior. And Junior had attempted a suicide. Very tough stuff. He attempted one. And then he got it right. Did it again. But he told people, he said, man, it's because of it's the CTE. I'm getting hit in the head. I'm miserable. I'm in pain. He left a note and he shared with me why he had to do this. And there was a number of other athletes as well from the NFL. This was very tough stuff, and I lived through this. So a lot of things changed within MMA. We just didn't know, right? I mean, you just don't know. I'll give you an example. People used to train without headgear. Headgear was for wimps. And you would go full bore in the gym because it was believed that the harder shots you took and the more often you took them, the harder shots you more often could take in competition. As opposed to the idea, which is kind of obvious concept, that would wear you down, that you'd be chopping away, people thought it got enhanced. Wanderlei Silva spoke very openly about this. He said he never wore headgear. Randy Couture spoke about it. Randy didn't spar at the same pace that Wanderlei did, but Randy did say, hey, headgear's for wimps. You know, that was a real belief within gyms. And we sparred every single day. You practice 5 days a week, you're sparring 5 days a week. 2 will be in little gloves, 3 will be in big gloves, or vice versa. And when the movie came out, and some of the CTE and the Junior Seau, and this was all kind of in the same time period, those things changed. People started wearing headgear. People started paying a little bit better attention in the gym. Those small gloves days, you really lightened up the pressure. The big gloves days, you really lightened up the pressure. I'll tell you what, I never like to go into an MMA gym and on a sparring day, a day that you're going to spar, and I'm seeing guys wrapping their hands. I just personally don't like that. If you're going to warm up, you're going to do mitts, you're going to do the bag, right? I mean, a pro fighter's got to wrap his hands or he's going to break his hands. But on a day of sparring, I don't like to see him wrapping their hands because what is it you're getting ready to hit really hard? What is it you're getting ready to hit harder than what I'm doing right here, right now? Your opponent, the guy across from you, your training partner, was one of these things. But this was serious stuff. And just so you know, when I talk about the cultural change or the phenomenon or the movie and the CT and the studies that were done and the Cleveland Clinic, the UFC has been working with from Jump Street. State of California does a lot of neurological things like that. They're gathering data. It's one of those things that takes a period of time so you can analyze it and look at it. But the way the protocol currently is, just so you know, because it's so hard to detect or diagnose, it's whatever the guy says. That is currently what it is. I had a guy who lost his career. He was a wrestler, NCAA. And he told the coaches that, hey, I got to miss practice. I got a concussion. Okay. You don't then take him to a doctor. You don't take him to treatment. You don't fill out paperwork. Okay. Well, he comes in again. I'm not gonna be able to do it today. My head's still bothering me. Concussion. Okay. They don't do anything with it. This doesn't then advance him to a specialist, or he goes and gets this looked at, or there's a CAT scan. Just, okay. Well, he comes in a third time saying the same thing. His career's over. 3 strikes and you're out. He didn't know that. He did not know. But the coaches are instructed. I mean, they have to do it. They've got to pull scholarship. They've got to stop you from the room. They've got to take your locker. They've got to take your gear. You no longer can work out. And I'm just sharing with you. You might think that that's harsh or unjust. I mean, this was my own guy. I got it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it for him. I got it. I understood it. There's a lot of things where you must take a guy at his word. And when Gordon did this and the UFC pulled him, there was a level of responsibility here that everyone took part in. Gordon told the truth. How about that to start with? He's given a form. He's given a questionnaire. He's being asked this before he's issued an unarmed combatant license from a government agency. Guys lie on those forms constantly. They lie on the forms, and then they come and brag that they lied on the forms, and the commission does nothing to them. There's a number of reasons where you would find commissions inept, where you look around and go, what are you guys doing? Aside from taking 6%, what are you doing? None of them would be larger than a guy lying on his medical form and coming out and telling the world he lied and have the commission do nothing about it. I'll put in perspective for you, and this isn't me being my usual jerk of a self towards Francis. I'm going to use Francis because it's the name of the story that you would know, but he goes in and fights Ciryl Gane. Then he comes out and he says that his knee is done. You cannot reissue a license to a guy who went in the ring with a torn ACL and didn't disclose it to you. In fact, he did just the opposite. He said it wasn't torn. Now, guys think they're tough guys for doing this. I think they're kind of tough guys too. I know which side is an athlete. I know what side I would have fallen on. But I'm just sharing it. It can't be done. It's the whole reason that you're doing the form. You're not sending a damaged product in there. Which, by the way, is in a state that keeps its lights on due to gaming. Now you're gaming on a product that never should have been there because he was hurt when he got in the ring. Now, he won, so it appears there's a different story, but how many guys have we seen lose? Like, oh, I had a broken hand. I'm a rent to pay. I was a tough guy. I went through with it. I'm just sharing with you. It is a colossally big deal to lie on those forms. In theory, there has never been a commission to do anything about it. They're not going to start now, but I'm sure it's a very big deal. So when you have somebody like Gordon that comes out and he told the truth and he was dealing with some stuff, this is how you get help. And whether this was done as a cry for help, I don't think so. I think he was just answering the question. They get a heart sparring session, right? And sometimes a guy will throw that word out there, concussion. He doesn't actually know. It just kind of means my head hurt. Something happened, I got my head's hurt, but it's tough. There's not a lot better that you can get. And if you speak to doctors, they're going to largely tell you what I'm telling you right now. There's some extreme stuff where you can see spotting on the brain, and there's some imaging like that. But in large part, a concussion, you're going to ask somebody, they're going to tell you the symptoms. And they're the ones that are going to tell you, in large part. So I think Gordon did the right thing, but I've really got to give the commission, I got to give the UFC, I got to give them a lot of credit here. And this is why you ask the questions. And you don't want to see somebody that did the right thing when so many other people don't. They stick and nothing happens to them. Like, what would be a travesty here is if Gordon's license in the future gets held up because he told the truth. In light of all the fighters we have that lie to the commission and come out and brag that they lied to the commission and nothing happens to them. I just want you guys to keep your eye on it. I want to keep a really good eye on what's going to happen to Gordon moving forward because he needs to be treated fairly. He self-diagnosed it was a concussion. Okay, great. We're going to listen to him. We're all going to take him at his word. But if down the road they try to come back and say you were concussed and you got to do X, Y, and Z, right? I mean, it's one of these things that he came out and spoke and did his best to be honest in an issue, and then professionals stepped in and did their best. Everybody did what they need to do here. But as far as this having long-term effects and consequences, this is something that we as a community need to keep an eye on. And we need to make sure that Gordon comes out of this for what he is. Gordon is the hero of this story, not the villain. He got asked a question. He answered it honestly.